test. There we go. Okay. Hello, friends. One moment, please. Greetings, friends. Check, check. Excellent. There we go. Bit of a false start earlier. Never really know. Let's go here. All right. Check, check. Did you know that free will is not a natural, cosmic, or divine right or law? It is a distortion. And this is important because it gets at the core of the question of whether or not we exist, whether or not we live a free will existence or a determinist or determinism existence, in which there is no free will. So this articulation will offer to your discernment that the answer to whether or not this is a free will or a determinist existence is neither. And yeah, we'll start with free will and go from there, but I can feel it in my bones. You know, the way some people can feel rain, I can feel wandering. And I feel like this one's got some wandering in it. It's got some branches to the pathway. And I don't know. It's fun to wander. Enjoy the journey. Smell the roses, as they say. So yeah, I would fasten your seatbelt and put on your favorite, most esoteric Trevor hat if you care to wander with me into the world of free will, the first distortion. Hopefully this holds. Good. Let's start there. First, let's start with this lake. Don't know how clear it is on my webcam here, but it froze over solid enough to walk on about a week ago, but then it has been unseasonably warm. In fact, I think it's about 50 degrees now. You can see it is both raining and all of the ice is melting off of the roof, and all of the ice is melting out there, but it's still frozen over. So we'll see if the temperature takes a quick turn in the other direction, it'll freeze over again real nice, and we'll get some ice fun in. So that's what's going on here. Outside, live, lakeside. Thank you for joining me, Oz, on Wanderer Radio. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. So free will is the first distortion. And so you might say the first distortion of what? Well, one of the references in this regard would be the law of one. And the law of one is using that terminology in reference to the law of one. So in other words, it is saying the first distortion. The first distortion of what? The law of one, the law of unity, everything, the creator, the one infinite creator mind. That one is distorted in order to produce free will. Therefore, free will is the first and primary distortion of the law of one. But there are also versions of Genesis, for example, that say, in the beginning, God created will. So in some versions, interpretations, will is created before light. So free will is a distortion, because in order for one to need the concept of free will, one would need a concept that exists in contrast. Let's call it opposed will. So there must be a relevant concept of opposed will in order for free will to be relevant at all. And so that's why we hear free will all the time used in contexts of political discussions and in relationship to government or situations in which there is power of one over another. And then there is this question of free will. Wow, it's raining nicely. Hopefully you can hear that. Probably can't see it too well, but yeah. See, but I can't feel the rain, but I can feel the wandering. So you need a concept of opposed will in order to have a concept of free will. And so if you are trying to understand this creation from your most primal level of mind, that of the one infinite creator, that is the most primal level of your mind, just as it is the most primal level of my mind. But of course, we have each uniquely layered countless levels of distortion upon it. But nonetheless, we are able to see through all those layers of distortion and access our creator's mind, because it is our mind. And the divisions that exist within it are illusory. And the division that we experience between us and that infinite level of our mind, all of that is distortion. And all of that is made and experienced and unfolded or undone to reveal what is underneath. So when you get to the core of it, there is one infinite indivisible mind. And therefore, this does not mean the infinite creator mind does not have will. It just means that it doesn't need free will, because its will at that level is absolutely unopposed. So rather than free will or opposed will, there's a third concept, unopposed will. Something that we really don't have an awareness of unless we're at that absolute primary level, which we don't spend our time there while we're here having a conversation across the interwebs, as we're doing right now. Outside. Had to hop in here while it was 50 degrees, and it was raining. It's just so cool. So nice out here. Anyway. The original will of the creator is completely unopposed. So, in trying to make it clear how the creator's will or your will at the most fundamental level works, you kind of need that word because you have free will and opposed will. So, we kind of need unopposed will to understand what we're talking about. But if you use the word unopposed long enough and everyone you're talking to is on the same page about the concept, eventually some people are going to say, why do we keep using the word unopposed? Isn't the word we're looking for just will? And that's the simplest truth of it. Do you have free will? No. Do you live in a determinist existence? No. Why? Because there is a third option that is not free will or opposed will or determination or any other of these commonly available options. No, this one is simply will. You do not have free will. That's a distortion. It's an illusion. What you have is will. Because every iteration of you, every level down, if you want to think about what your existence might be in every dimension between you and creator and you and creation, however you understand your nexus between the infinite here and eternal now, whatever those layers are, if you peel them all back, revealing layer after layer of self, you eventually arrive where we all do, the one infinite mind. And if we haven't realized it before, we realized then that everything we thought was our will at every level of our beingness never was. It was always one will, sourced from one place. Free will, as we thought we knew it, was a distortion, isn't real. And that's actually beautiful. It might be scary and terrifying and awful and dystopian if the only alternative were opposed will, oppression, determinism. But actually, the surrendering of free will, letting go of free will, is potentially quite awesome if it is being exchanged for will alone. Perhaps it's a good time to wander. Meditate with me beside this beautiful lake for a few moments, will you? We're going to wander for a moment to the founding of America, or the United States. Sorry, that's Amerocentric to consider the United States America. I do apologize. The founding of the United States, the revolution or separation from England, and the Declaration of Independence, and this most important to the resonance of this document. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with the inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. There are many geopolitical documents. Some are remembered more than others. And while the Declaration of Independence was written at an important time, so were many other documents that we don't remember as well. So it isn't the timing, it isn't the historical significance that makes that document so present in the minds not just of Americans, but worldwide. Those words have meaning to absolutely everybody, everywhere. That sentiment transcends government. That sentiment transcends every single government on the planet. Therefore, the Declaration of Independence is actually a document for the globe. When it is describing inalienable rights, that means these rights are not on the table for the government being created to infringe upon, because they are not on the table for any government to infringe upon. They are inalienable and endowed by our Creator. Freedom, free will, the inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And what I want to do now is I want to wonder in the taking of this sentiment, and what I want to do is strip any form out of it, because it does have a little bit of geopoliticalness to it. So I want to remove the earthly form. I want to remove earthly form because it's very close. And with a few small tweaks, it becomes cosmic. It is in a sense, the contract between you as infinity and you as singularity. The infinite mind that you are is preparing to forget itself and go behind the veil as an individuation. And as that individuation is forming, the infinity and the individuation can engage in more and more dialogue of greater sophistication, because the separation is becoming greater. The understanding of separate self is getting closer. A conversation can take place in between the two. And if you're listening to this and hearing me from your individuated perspective, then the way I would articulate the contract between you and your Creator, or your singularity mind and your infinite mind, the way that that contract was understood and explained and spelled out, I believe these are my discernments presented to you for yours. Discard willy-nilly with abandon if this doesn't resonate. But what originally happened as this separation was occurring, you wanted to understand the terms, perhaps rightfully concerned about how lost you could potentially get. And you said to your infinite self, I consider these truths to be self-evident, that I, who am also you, am endowed as a child of yours, an individuated creator, an infinite eternal mind made in the image of another infinite eternal mind. Nonetheless, as I step behind the veil, I hold these truths to be self-evident, that I am endowed by you, who is also me, with the inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So I added a bunch of words there that I didn't know I was going to add that made it sound like it wasn't as close as I originally pitched it. But I believe the concept is close. It's, understanding the concept of I versus we in relation to one is tricky. And of course, the word men, while perhaps meaning entities of all form, in its intention, nonetheless sounds exclusive now. So with a few tweaks, I am endowed by you with the inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I believe this would all start with not one child's creator vote of consent, but two, such that you would end up with two distortions of the one that, once undistorted, returns to the one. So I don't think the one makes an initial division to a child by creating one child. I believe what we see and observe as cellular division in nature, I believe that that is unsurprisingly telling us something cosmic, sharing with us a cosmic truth. And I think that the material biological depiction of the birth of life is and would be an unsurprising place to look and seek to find the understanding of the nature of the creator and how the creator gives birth to life. I think it is by distorting infinity into two, not two identical distortions, but two different distortions, absolutely kind of like a yin yang symbol. And anyway, the point is, what does it mean to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness if we're not talking about physical form, if we're not talking about an agreement with the government, if we're not talking about terrestrial, geopolitical, or domestic policy and politics and relations between citizens and human power? What does it mean when you're talking to your creator? Life. What does life mean? We understand it in the terrestrial sense. From the original sentiment of that document, we would understand life to be your right to live your incarnation here, unimpeded. But in the cosmic sense, your life means your right to life, means your right to be, your right to be, to have a nexus of the eternal now and infinite here that is your unique perspective from which to perceive, to learn, to love, to grow, to explore, to wonder. There is no map, there are no rules, there is no meaning, so to speak, other than opportunities are infinite. Life is absolutely infinite, and your exact experience, exactly here and now, If you're watching this, it is more than a choice, a free will choice that you're making at this moment. Your entire incarnation here is absolutely, without question, a free will choice that you made. You are not a fallen angel. You are not in purgatory. You have not been condemned. You are not damned. You are not punished. This is not a prison planet. This is a boot camp. And all of its ills were not fine print that you were deceived about. They were bullet points on the billboards. How much war there is here. How much struggle there is here. How much challenge there is here. How much duality there is here. You think they hid that? Those are the biggest words on the billboard, and you got in line. And you would have shoved somebody out of the way if they tried to cut. So what if the entity says to the creator, well, I think once I get there and once I'm individuated, I feel like the greatest appeal to me is going to be a lizard overlord. I want to be a lizard form and lizardly overlord the entire realm. Or if I decide to do that, are you going to have a problem with that? My infinite self, my infinite creator? I am curious to know. I would like to know if there is any fine print regarding this free will, because I'm not seeing it yet. If free will is real and the creation is all the activity of your mind, if we are all infinite and eternal, if nobody dies and nothing is ever lost, then do we have a problem with lizard overlord as an ambition? In truth, the entity did not have to get past, can I be a yes? The lizard overlord thing was a waste of breath. Yes, right from the jump. Can I be a yes? The creator knows only, the creator regards the free will distortion of all children as absolute. And this is important because it is in here that we have a pathway to evaporate the duality of evil, hell, judgmental, wrathful God. It all evaporates. In undistorting the concept of free will by understanding, so to speak, or knowing free will to be a distortion. Another way to put this would be to say to your creator, if I am entering a dream of some world, whether I am dreaming aware, whether or not I am dreaming unaware or lucid dreaming once I'm in the creation, regardless, I still want to make sure we're clear on this lizard overlord idea. And your creator's response I believe, would effectively be, you are dreaming. You will be dreaming. As soon as this separation is complete, and I don't know how an infinite formless mind makes rabbit finger ears, but somehow it happened. And the creator said, well, I lost what I was even saying there. I once had a friend from another country see me talking to someone else going like this. And I remember them saying to me, "What does it mean?" So I had to explain it. So, yes. Anyway, okay, so I was talking about how the creator is explaining to you that, well, your journey into the creation is one of a dream, whether unaware or lucid, and therefore nothing you do there actually happens. It is not of consequence. Your creator might say to you, there is no way for me as an infinite, eternal, formless mind to hold a mirror up to myself, to see a reflection, to know thyself. The creator says to you, you think that's just your project? Is that just your project and your little individuated mission to know thyself? Maybe it's mine too. And how do I do that? Through you, through an infinite number of prisms of distortion. I cannot see myself in infinite formless eternity, but I can see myself. I can know myself through an infinite number of finite forms. If I'm going to try to know myself, and I myself am infinite, eternal, and formless, if I want to know that, and I decide I'm going to try to know that through a lens of form, then it hardly makes sense to choose a form. It would take all eternity to figure out what form that should be, because it can never possibly be one. All that it could possibly be, in fact, the best, optimal, most perfect rendering of the infinite mind, would be as many finite forms and perspectives and perceptions as is possible to imagine. If we can have these forms, though finite, in infinite number, that'll have to do as our approximation of infinite mind in finite form. No one form can look at the other and understand the whole, but through the infinite number of prisms acting at once, all of us can know the whole, the experience of all, of feeling that connection to all the finite forms and lenses of experience. So, do you live an existence of free will? A determinist existence without will? Do you have oppressed will? None of the above. What you truly have, at the deepest level, is will. So thank you, friends, for wandering with me today. Live outside, icy lakeside, in the rain, trying to get at the root of the big questions. I'm Oz, and this has been another broadcast of Wonder Radio. Thought that was geese. It was just the glider creaking.